Hi, I'm Mark Dunn, your Merchant Services Trainer. In this video, we'll discuss the essential points of Merchant Services pricing. The most important thing you should know about Merchant Services pricing and fees is that you don't have to be the expert. Granite Payments is competitive on price and has pricing experts on staff. So, if your merchant is already processing, you should ask the merchant for 2 to 3 recent processing statements and submit these to Granite Payments. We'll analyze the statements and prepare a competitive pricing proposal. Then we'll send the merchant the proposal, which will show them how much money they can save by switching their processing to Granite Payments. Now, pricing for merchant processing can be complex, so we want you to understand the basics. And so we'll focus on 4 major areas of pricing. These are interchange, pricing programs, merchant discount, and statement analysis. So let's talk about interchange. We've said in several of our other training videos that interchange is the mechanism for balancing the fees between the card issuing and merchant acquiring banks. It's a bank-to-bank fee, and it forms the foundation for merchant pricing. The card brands calculate interchange on every single bank card transaction. There are hundreds of interchange categories, and deciding which category applies can be rather complex. The fact is that interchange categories depend mostly on what type of card is used and what type of merchant is processing the transaction. So let's look at a real-world example. If you use a Visa Rewards card to buy 2 pairs of shoes at a shoe store, you're creating a card-present transaction. Provided this transaction is settled promptly, the interchange category that applies will be what is called CPS Rewards 1. And the current rate for that interchange category is 1.65% and 10 cents per transaction. That means that if the 2 pairs of shoes cost a total of $100, the interchange fee is $1.65 plus 10 cents for the transaction for a total interchange cost of $1.75. Now please note that this is not what the merchant pays. This is the bank-to-bank fee for the transaction. So if interchange fees are not what the merchant pays, why do we bother to talk about them? Well, it turns out that interchange fees make up about 70 to 80% of the final cost of processing to the merchant. That's why qualifying for the lowest interchange rate is pretty important. The next important fact about merchant services pricing is called pricing program. With hundreds of interchange categories that might apply to any single transaction, processors have attempted to simplify merchant pricing, and pricing programs do that. There are 2 pricing programs we want to discuss: tiered pricing and what is called interchange plus or cost plus. Tiered pricing usually has 3 categories: qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified. Qualified transactions are card-present transactions. Mid-qualified are card-not-present, such as e-commerce. And non-qualified transactions is a catch-all category for transactions that don't fit into the qualified or mid-qualified categories. Each category has a rate and a fee per transaction. Interchange plus or cost plus is a simpler method of pricing. With Interchange plus, a margin or markup is added to the interchange fee that is calculated for each transaction. Thus, interchange plus the margin is what the merchant pays. What the merchant ends up paying is what shows up on their merchant statement at the end of the month. And this is what is called merchant discount. Don't get hung up on the word discount here. That's just banker speak for what turns out to be a fee. The merchant statement typically will show 4 basic types of fees. These are processing rates and fees, monthly services and fees, event or program-driven fees, and other bank fees. There are many different ways to create a merchant processing statement, and they can be very confusing. Granite Payments experts can take the merchant statement and analyze it in detail. From this analysis, Granite Payments will produce a competitive proposal that will save the merchant money on their monthly bill. So let's go back to our most important point about merchant pricing. You don't have to be the expert. If the merchant is already processing, get copies of their statements and submit them. Granite Payments will do the rest. Thanks for watching this training video. I'm your host, Mark Dunn.